That is the epithelial tissue, connective tissue and muscle tissue. And blood is also a type of connective tissue. They contain plasma. Next. Next, story of blood. Blood is also a one type of connective tissue, and it is having a different components. And it is having different components. Sir, share option one, sir.
Madam, ichchan madam.
Next, story of blood. Blood also a one type of connective tissue. How many types of connective tissue are present in animals? Four types. Number one is adipose tissue. Next, blood, tendon. Next, ligament. These are all the connective tissue. It is present in animals. Okay. Next, the tendon is made up of protein that is called as collagen, and it is also, ligament is also one type of connective tissue. It is made up of collagen. That protein name was collagen. Next one is the story of blood. Blood is also a one type of connective tissue. It is having different types of components. It is having different types of components. Next, it is also a one type of connective tissue. It explains many things about us. It is contained plasma and red blood cells, white blood cells and blood platelets. It is having red blood cells, white blood cells and blood platelets. Next, blood is which color? It is red in color, and the blood is always not same in animals. The blood is same in not some animals. That is the cockroach. The cockroach contain which color blood? White. The cockroach contain, it is having white color blood. Where is the snail? The snail blood color is blue. The snail blood color is blue. Next, and the adult human beings, the adult human beings, it is having 5 liters of blood. Human beings have 5 liters of blood. What is the chief component of blood? The chief component of blood is water. That is water. It is stored in plasma. The plasma is a water-like substances. It is present in blood. The plasma is watery-like substances. It is present in blood. Next, and it has also several nutrients, that is the glucose amino acids and protein, vitamin and hormones. Blood, it is plasma is also contain some nutrients such as glucose, amino acids and protein, vitamin and hormones. Next, the plasma required for the body and excretory products such as lactic acid, urea and salt. The excretory product of the plasma, the excretory products of the plasma such as lactic acid and urea and salt. Next, the plasma also contain factors. It is responsible for blood clotting. It is responsible for blood clotting. That is a vitamin K, pilovinine. Next, heparin helps to prevent blood clotting in blood vessels. The heparin is the anticoagulant. The heparin is the anticoagulant. It helps to prevent the blood clotting. It helps to prevent the blood clotting. Next. Next. The cells of blood are corpuscles. Number one is there are three types of corpuscles. There are three types of blood cells. There are three types of corpuscles and there are three types of blood cells. Number one is RBC, red blood corpuscles or red blood cells. Next one is WBC, white blood cells or white blood corpuscles. Next, blood platelets. These are all the three corpuscles are present in blood. The RBC are also called as erythrocytes. The RBC are also called as erythrocytes. What is the lifespan of RBC? The lifespan of RBC 120 days. After the completion of 120 days, the RBC will be destroyed. And then the new RBC is formed. Next, white blood cells. White blood cells. It is also called as leukocytes. It is also called as leukocytes. What is the lifespan of WBC? The lifespan of WBC is 14 days. Only for it is living in human body only for 14 days. And next one is the blood platelets. It is the three components and the three corpuscles are present in blood. The three corpuscles are present in blood. Red blood cells and white blood cells. This is the platelets. And it is contain plasma also. The plasma is a watery like substances. It is present in blood and it is having blood clotting components. Blood clotting components. Next one. The red blood cells are also called as erythrocytes. The red blood cells are also called as erythrocytes. It is red in color and they have red color protein that is called as hemoglobin. The red color protein, it is called as hemoglobin. Next. Because of hemoglobin blood is red color and it is helps to transport the oxygen and carbohydrates. 1 ml of human blood has about 5 millions of red blood cells which is live for 120 days in blood. The hemoglobin is responsible for transport the oxygen and transport the carbohydrates. When the oxygen is inhaled, it is connected to the hemoglobin. It is connected to the hemoglobin and passes through the all body parts of the cell. That is called as oxygenated blood. When the blood is combined with oxygen, that blood is known as oxygenated blood. Next, what is the lifespan of red blood cells? Only it is live for 120 days.
120
After
days.
the completion of 120 days, the RBC will be destroyed and new blood vessels are formed. Next. Next, when we are in our mother's womb, our RBC are formed in the liver and spleen. The first RBC is formed in our liver and spleen. When we are in our mother's womb, the RBC is formed in the part liver and
Liver.
spleen. Next, after your birth, these RBC are generated from the bone marrow of long bone. It is after the completion of the birth, the RBC is formed. It is converted in the. It is generated from the bone marrow. It is generated from the bone marrow. And some mammals, except camel and lemur. This is the lemur. It is having red blood cells without nucleus. That animals are known as prokaryotes. What is prokaryote? It is not having nucleus and nuclear membrane. That animals are called as, and that organisms are called as prokaryotes. And next one is the eukaryotes. What is eukaryotes? It is having nucleus and nucleus membrane. That is called as eukaryotes. The lemia is the llama it is also called as prokaryotes. It is not having nucleus. It is not having nucleus. Next. Next one is the second type of cells present in blood, or that is called as white blood cells. The white blood cells are also called as
WBC.
leukocytes. The white blood cells are also called as leukocytes. Why it is called leukocyte? It is colorless cells. Next, these cells do not have hemoglobin. These cells do not have hemoglobin. And RBC is having hemoglobin. That's why it is in red color. Next, hence they are colorless. It is called as leukocytes. Next, these cells are less in number. To compare to the RBC, the white blood cells are less in number. To compare to the RBC, the white blood cells are less in number. Next, there are two types. The white blood cells are divided into two types. Number one is granulocytes. And number two is agranulocytes. the white blood cells are divided into two types. Number one is granulocytes and number two is agranulocytes. Next, and the white blood cells. The white blood cells attack the microorganism. When the microorganism are enter into the blood, the white blood cells attack to the microorganism. When the microorganism enter into the human body, the white blood cell attack to the microorganism to fight against the microorganism. And some white blood cells sacrifice their life to fight against the external enemy, that is called as microorganism. What is the external enemy?
Microorganism.
Microorganism are enter into the human body. Some white blood cells are it is very strong and some white blood cells are it is also weak. When the microorganism are enter into the human body, some white blood cells sacrifice their life, fight against the microorganism. Next, these dead out BC, these dead WBC come out of from the wounds, injury of the wound. It is like pus. When we injured, the white color substance will be come from the wound. You all know. Next one is the lymphocytes. The lymphocytes are secretes the antibodies to guard against the bacteria. The lymphocytes are present in human body. That is, the lymphocytes secretes the antibodies to fight against the microorganisms. To fight against the microorganisms. Next one, the white blood cells are two types. Number one is granulocytes and number two is agranulocytes. The granulocytes are may have three types. Number one is neutrophils. Number one is neutrophils. Next, eosinophils and basophils. The granulocytes are divided into three types. Number one is neutrophils, eosinophils, and basophils. These are all the three types of granulocytes. Next, types of blood cells. How many types of blood cells, ma? Three types of blood cells are present in our blood. What are they?
Red blood cells, white blood cells,
Red blood
platelets,
cells, white blood cells, and blood platelets. Red blood cells are also called as erythrocytes, and white blood cells are also called as leukocytes, and blood platelets are also called as thrombocytes. Blood platelets are also called as thrombocytes. Erythrocytes, leukocytes, and thrombocytes. Okay. Next one is the agranulocytes. The agranulocytes are two types. Number one is lymphocyte and number two is monocytes. Granulocytes are three types. Number one is neutrophil, eosinophil, and basophil. And agranulocytes are two types. Number one is lymphocyte and monocyte. Next one is the monocytes. The monocyte is like to compare to the amoeba, it is seen like single cellular animal, and then the monocytes move like amoeba to attack the foreign materials. What are the foreign materials? Microorganisms. The monocytes is attacked to the microorganisms. Next, the foreign materials are destroyed the inside the cells. The foreign material, the microorganisms are destroyed the inner side of the cell, and they are called as scavengers. They are called as the monocytes are also called as scavengers. Next, why it is called as scavengers? They destroy the microorganism. They destroy the microorganism and to clean the blood cell to against the enemy. That's why it is called as scavengers. Next, last one is the blood platelets. Next one is the blood platelets. These are all the separate group of blood cells. It do not have nucleus. The platelets do not have nucleus, and it is helpful for the blood clotting. That means coagulation of blood. Next, it is disc-like projections. Whenever the blood vessels is injured, when the blood vessels are injured and all the platelets are accumulate in the site of the injury and helps to formation of the blood clot. It is helpful for the coagulation of blood. It is helpful for the coagulation of blood. Next, what is the anticoagulant? Anticoagulant. Heparin is the anticoagulant. It is present in our blood. Next. Next one. The Landsteiner. The Landsteiner, he is a German doctor and he found new blood relation. He found the new blood relation. That means he divided human beings into 4 major groups. He divided the human beings in 4 major groups. Number 1, they are A group, B group, AB group, and O group. A, B group, and AB group, and O group. And the AB group human beings can receive the blood from any other groups. AB group, A group, and B group human beings receive the blood from any other group. They receive the blood or A group or B group or AB group or O group. Next, hence they are called as universal recipient. To receive the blood, who person receives the blood, that person is called as recipient. And when the person donate the blood, that person is called as donors. We donate the blood. And AB group human beings can receive the blood from any other group. And hence they are called as universal recipient. And then O blood group people can donate the blood to any other group. O group people donate the blood to any other group, or A group, B group, AB group. These are all the groups to receive the O positive blood group. So the people is known as universal donors. Recipients are called as universal recipients. That is the AB blood group, and so the O group people can donate to any other groups. That's why it is called as universal donors. Next. O positive blood group persons to receive the only O positive blood. We don't receive the A group and B group and AB group. Next, muscle tissue. Third one is the muscle tissue. What are the function of muscle tissue? The muscle is attached to the bone. It is responsible for the movement of human body. That is the legs, hands. Next, and several internal organs such as intestine, heart. These are all the muscle tissue. The muscle tissue are responsible for the movements of hands, legs, and also some internal organs such as intestine and heart. And the small amount of muscle tissue are present in blood vessels. The blood vessels are transport the blood to all parts of the human body. The small amount of muscle tissue are also present in blood vessel. Next, this helps increasing and decreasing the diameter of blood vessel. That means the blood vessel, the muscle tissue is responsible for this is the blood vessel. The blood vessel of it is increasing. The muscle tissue is helps for increasing the diameter of blood vessel. Next, heart. That means okay, now. Next, the heart is made up of only one type of muscle cells and they help in pumping the blood. Heart is made up of muscle cells and it helps in the pumping of blood. And the muscular tissue. The muscular tissue consists of elongated cells and muscle fibers. The muscle tissue consists of elongated cells and muscle fibers. Elongated cells, that cells is called as muscle fibers. And then the muscles contain special protein. That protein name was contractile protein. That protein name was contractile protein. It is contraction and relaxation of the movement. Contraction and relaxation. Contraction and relaxation of the movement. The muscle contains special protein, that is the contractile protein. Next, based on the structure and based on the location, The muscle tissues are divided into three types. Number one is striated muscles and non-striated muscles and cardiac muscle. Based on the structure and based on the location, the muscle tissues are divided into three types. Number one is the striated muscles, and number two is the non-striated muscle or unstriated muscle, and last one is the cardiac muscle. Next, first one is the voluntary muscle. What is voluntary muscle? We can move some muscle by our conscious effort. That means it is control our brain. It is control our brain. And the muscle present in the inner limbs to move when we want them and when we stop them. It is decided. The muscle tissue of the inner limbs. It can move when we want them and when we stop them. It is decide our brain. Next, such muscles are called as voluntary muscle. That means it is control our brain. That muscles are known as voluntary muscles. Next one. Next one is these muscles are called as skeletal muscles. The voluntary muscles are also called as skeletal muscles. The voluntary muscles are also called as skeletal muscles. It is almost all attached to the bones. It is almost all attached to the bones and it is helps to the body movement. And it is helps to the body movement. Next, these muscles show alternate light and dark bands or striations. They are called as striated muscles. These muscles, what is these muscles? The skeletal muscles are involuntary muscles. These muscles show alternate light bands. This is the light bands and this is the dark bands. Light bands, dark bands, light bands, dark bands. Or striations. They are called as striated muscles. And it is having many nuclei. That means multicellular. It is having multi-nucleus. Next. Next one is the movement of food in alimentary canal. The contraction and relaxation of the blood vessels are involuntary. The movement of the food of alimentary canal. When we eat the food, it passes through the stomach. We cannot stop them. Yes or no? Yes. We cannot stop them. We cannot control our brain. So that muscles are called as involuntary muscles. And some contraction and relaxation of blood vessels are also involuntary. We cannot stop the blood flow. We cannot stop the food passage. That's why it is called as involuntary muscle. And then smooth muscle or involuntary. Voluntary muscle are also called as skeletal muscle. And involuntary muscles are also called as smooth muscle. It controls such movements. The smooth muscles, it controls such movement. And it is having single nuclei. The striated muscle is having multinucleus, and the unstriated muscle is having only single nucleus. They are called as unstriated muscle. Next, the muscles present in the heart, it is responsible for the pumping of blood. That is the cardiac muscle. The cardiac muscle are present in the heart. The cardiac muscle is responsible for the pumping of blood. Next, the cells are long branched and it is having nuclei. The cells are, it is a long branched cells and it is having nuclei. And the all the muscle cells in cardiac muscles have striations. All the cardiac muscles are having striations. Striations means light bands, dark bands, light band, dark band. Next, it is an involuntary. We cannot control. We can control. It is unconscious state. It is the unconscious. The voluntary muscle is conscious. It controls our brain. Involuntary means it do not controls our brain. Next one is the last one is the neuron or nerve cell. How many number of neurons are present in our body? Millions and trillions of neurons are present in our body. The neuron or the nerve cell contains the cell body. It is three main parts it is having. Number one is the cell body or soma. Cell body or soma or cyton. Next, the cell body have contain the long hair-like structures and long hair-like projections. That name was dendrites. That name was dendrites. And it is having nucleus. The nucleus is scattered in the cytoplasm. And then this is the soma is enlarged part and it is arises to the axon. And